We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Friday, and Will is joining us today. I was kind of waiting to hear from him after this debate and some of the other things going on. I knew Will would be a little fired up, so welcome back, Will.
Yeah. Hi, Mike. How you doing? Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Yeah, that was I guess they're using the old school playground. That was a curb stomping.
That was a curb
Uh,
stomping, yeah.
I mean, I've never seen. I mean, I was just watching it in between when at work, and some of it, I'm like, A, did he say that? And B, oh hell no. Um, I was what the biggest surprise is that when he went to they're eating dogs in Springfield, Ohio. And David Muir went, no, they're not. I'm going, oh, wait, they're going to fact check them? I was surprised.
That
I
was
really
surprising.
surprised that fact checking came up. And then when, what's the female? I just drew a blank. Lindsay Miller?
Yeah,
Uh,
Lindsay
Lindsay,
Miller, I think. Lindsay
Lindsay
something.
Miller. She, when he went to we're killing babies at the knife, she just said, there's no state that allows murder of children. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. He so thoroughly got thrashed that right now he is making every excuse known to man to say I won.
Yeah.
It is pathetic. And now the newest one, and I just caught the newest one is that not only does she have all the questions ahead of time, not only was the moderators for her, the earrings she was wearing
Yeah.
were actually Bluetooth, and she was
Oh,
being fed lines, and actually the earrings she was wearing match a company's Bluetooth earrings called Nova. And the Nova company has to go, no, we had nothing to do with this. It's, they are they're desperate. They're
they,
desperate beyond desperate at this point.
They are desperate, and this is the kind of patheticness that you would expect out of Donald Trump. I'll be honest with you. This particular debate turned out kind of like I expected, maybe more so. Donald Trump did exactly what I expected to make a fool of himself and be an ultimate failure. Kamala Harris did pretty much what I thought she'd do, but a lot better than I expected she could do. So I was impressed by that.
She just she
She was a
treated it like a
machine out
court.
there. She
She
was a
treated it like
machine
a
out there.
court.
Yeah.
This was a court. This was a court date. This is my evidence. This is what I had to present, and she did. And also, like any good prosecutor, when you have the defendant on the stand, you're going to provoke him into saying something he shouldn't.
Yeah.
And God Almighty, you know, I think we have been used for years with Democrats, and I'm going to go back to Hillary Clinton. My wife and I were discussing this on the way back from when we are doing business today. Well, I was talking about Kamala Harris to her, and she goes, he goes, Harris is more like us. And my wife goes, well, Hillary Clinton is white. I go, yeah, but doesn't mean. She goes, no, she's very stiff. She
Yeah.
was professional. She was very white, and I understand what she was trying to say. It wasn't a race thing. It's just that she could not do with Kamala Harris. She couldn't connect. Also, Kamala Harris she did the one thing that Democrats have never done in a debate stage. She just went for his knees.
Right.
When she brought out his rally, and I'm sitting there going, you're not, she did. And she just went right for it. She cut him at the knee, knowing that he could not stop it. He did, and he just it did exactly what we thought he would do. He
The
lost his effing mind. He
the
was
strat
gone.
the strategy was great. In fact, I said beforehand, and what she needed to do is sting him every time she could to get him thrown off, and then lay out her plan for her presidency. So you got both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So when she brought up the size of the crowd, I
Oh
knew
my
that was
God.
the most important thing to him, and then he
Mm.
lost it. There are two things that caused him to lose it: that crowd size thing, and the fact that the moderators were fact checking him. He did not
Right.
expect that. He did not, and he did not like it. And then he says, "Well, they're not fact checking her. Well, she's not lying.
Yeah,
You're
she's not
fucking
she's
lying.
that's a sort of damn lie. And I then, you know, a lot of, pundits, and I'm gonna get to the mass media fucking with this a little bit, but the good pundits, Michael Steele, who I wish he would stop being a Republican, but he can't help himself.
Yeah.
But he made a good point. You know, his point was basically, what was your running? She spanked that butt. That was his
Yeah.
first point. But he said, though, where it started, and if you see, someone look up, if you get a chance, look up the View, Whoopi Goldberg's version of how Kamala Harris walked up to Donald Trump. See, basically, when she walked up to him, because he was not going to shake her hand. He
No, he
was
didn't
going to
want
be,
to.
he was going to, he didn't want, she walked up there and said, Kamala Harris, and just walked and have a good debate and walked past. That was the first thing that kind of tipped him because one, someone said he is a germaphobe and he had no Purcell
And she is
check that up.
black. She is
And she's
black,
black,
so
drop that in there. But also, it was just her saying, basically reminding him, say it to my face.
yeah.
Here we are. And he never fucking looked at her.
No.
She looked at him through the entire thing. And at one point, and the memes on this one are perfect. When she got, see, the thing about Kamala Harris, a lot of it, I know it was a bait, but she was telling her story. She was telling who she is. It was her, but she got incensed about the Afghanistan thing and about the Taliban being to Camp David.
Right.
That was insane.
Yeah.
And so that moment when she said that, and there was not one person of color, including myself or anyone else, when she said that, did not use the word motherfucker.
Well,
Not one.
every person of color, and one pasty faced motherfucker like me.
Yeah.
I
We
was
all
thinking the
said,
same thing.
and everyone was like going, she's going to do it. So people told it, and she said, former president. And we all went, she just not, I mean, like I told my wife, we had a discussion because there is a reality to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris is a politician. Kamala Harris is a leader. But leaders, the good leaders, is there's a connection to the people she serves. When
Yeah.
she says she's middle class, she's freaking middle class.
Yeah.
And she came up, but she projects confidence in what we need in a president. And the point was, he can't compete with that because he has no humanity. He has no end. He's an empty shell of a human being, created by money and pain and his life. That whole Trump family is literally a toxic stain on the American on America.
Absolutely. I brought this up before with Old Soul, I think,
Mhm.
and there was a situation where a woman who voted for him in 2016 to 2020 is now voting for Kamala Harris. And the interviewer asked her, "Why are you voting for Kamala Harris now?" And she gave the best answer, the most baseline answer you can give. She said, "Because Kamala Harris acts like a human." Now, that sounds like a
Bingo.
shot at Donald Trump, but that's what this whole thing is about. It's about humanity. Kamala has that human side where she'll go hug an elderly woman or bend down and talk to a child and actually care about people. Donald Trump expresses nothing that would suggest he cares about anything or anybody but himself.
I mean, I made a note after one of my videos yesterday. One of them was that I was thinking about I forgotten September 11th was yesterday or on Wednesday because now we're on Friday. On Wednesday. And I said, "Hey, we're all celebrating, but remember, that day." But my point was that don't. I'm not going to talk about where were you, all that. We all know where we were at that. We know our reaction to it. Remember, we always remember that. We will never forget. But the one thing I will never forget, and someone brought this, but I brought it up later. It's on that day when New York is burning, the towers have fallen, Pentagon, what happened on that Pennsylvania field. Donald Trump went on with Howard Stern and said that he now has the biggest buildings in the city of New York.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
No, for that was 23 years ago, and he became president of the United States. And now, and I warned people, he's going to show up at that do the ceremonial. I feel bad for these people who are dead, even though he doesn't feel a goddamn thing about them. I mean, he showed up at why firemen respect him, dudes. You pissed me off, and he's doing the thumbs up. But you know who came with him
I know.
to
Laura
that?
Loomer.
Laura Loomer, the fucking 9/11 inside job conspiracist.
Psycho bitch.
And the thing about it is, she has become his right now as everything's falling apart. And everything is falling apart. Let's be honest.
It is.
Everything's falling apart. We're not hearing anything about the campaign and money. Guarantee you they don't have money. What was it? I read that they did it. Harris 47 million
24
during the
hours
debate.
24
Yeah,
hours after the debate. Yeah, it's 47
47
million.
million. And I don't know what they got, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't much.
No.
They're hurting for money, and a lot of his campaign people are starting to get nervous because they see the end coming. I just told my wife Tuesday, um, Tuesday was the end of the beginning.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna, it's the, he's, we're in at the end. We're starting to see the end of Donald Trump. Now, the problem with that, like anything that ends, it's going to be pretty brutal. He's going to throw everything against the wall. His people are going to go insane, and he's latched on to the worst person to advise him at this time. Everything that she's advising him is insane, and it's not going to help him. But he doesn't give a fuck because it makes him feel big.
Well, see
That's
what
where it's at.
what he's doing here is he's panicking, and the people
Mhm.
around him are panicking too. And the only thing he knows how to do is to go extreme. I've told you this before about narcissists. It's always extremes with them. It's always the worst or always the best. And now he's latching himself on to Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is a 31-year-old fucking kid who's never done anything except do crazy shit like chain herself to the building where Twitter was at one point. She's fucking nuts. And but she caters to Donald Trump. As I've told people before, there's only one you can play down any idiot can play Donald Trump. All you have to do is placate him, pat him on the ass, tell him he's a genius, and you have carte blanche with him. And he's panicking, so he's going to these Laura Loomers and these other crazies. And what you're going to find is some of these people in his campaign going, fuck, man, I can't even do that. Marjorie Taylor Greene's already doing that.
Now, Green, quick comment, quick note on that, because I saw one of my friends had put out a video about what she had done. No, I'm going to put everyone kind of clear on this one. If you haven't seen my response to her, Marjorie Taylor Greene is opponent in for her seat is a man named Sean Green.
Yeah.
Sean Green is a local black farmer, but Sean Green is a former brigadier general of the United
Right.
States Army
Right.
who was approached by Democrats and Republicans, read my lips, and Republicans to see to run against her. And now with them taking some of Cobb County and dropping it in her district, she's knee deep in shit
Yeah.
because the reason that she did that for Laura Loomer is not because she cares about Trump or that. She needs some black votes. She
Yeah.
is fucked in her district because Sean Green is a sharp dude. He's an impressive man. And he's the guy that even those people and Republicans in that area would rather him representing them because you know why? He'll do something.
Yeah.
He will be a representative for them. Because let's face it, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Chip Taylors, the Laura Boeberts, the Matt Gates, they don't give a flying fuck about the constituents. It's all about me, and them.
Right.
And it is time. That's the toxicity of Trumpism. because if we don't purge that, the first step is to get rid of Trump. And at the same time, we have to have a blue Congress. But there will be enough of these assholes left over, and we have to keep pushing them out. Because, like any disease, if you do not treat it properly, it will come back. And we have to push this to the end. It cannot mutate, it cannot get away from us. It has to end this time.
Well, the thing with Laura Loomer, she's a psychopath. She's crazy. She's extreme. She's a conspiracy theorist. She's QAnon and all that stuff. And a lot of people are appalled that she's tied so closely. Maybe his top advisor right now. And I hope she stays. I hope she stays all the way to November 5th. Because if you think about how the past elections have gone, everybody Donald
Mhm.
Trump has endorsed has been really extreme, and every one of them has fucking lost except
Yep.
JD Vance. So people, even Republicans, are repelled by this crazy extremism. So if he wants to go that route, fucking let him go.
And Ohio, okay, Ohio. Let me ask you something. JD Vance, how? Why?
Yeah.
How? How? Because, and I understand that Tim Ryan was somewhat of an a hole because the Lincoln Project came out to him and said, "Hey, dude, we can help you. We can help you beat him," and they rejected him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that didn't work, and it was a close race. Now you got this guy. You're stuck with him for another 2 years, probably.
4 years, I think.
4 years. Yeah, you're
6
stuck with
years.
him. Yeah, he's going to be in the Senate. Um, but he is just the whole thing about this dog Haitian thing came from Vance. And today,
Was it
when
Vance or
they
Laura Loomer?
well,
I thought
Laura
Laura.
Loomer started it, like it came from a Facebook post that was picked up later by Loomer and then Vance, who pushed it too during one of his, I think he has rallies. I don't know what the fuck he does. And then it get to Trump, and then Trump just basically, tossed it on the fire and whoosh on Tuesday. But they asked Vance today about it. It's been debunked. And they asked him that same thing. They told him, "Hey, the city managers told you that," and he said his constituents are calling him and telling him that the manager is a liar.
Right.
So I want to ask you, people in Ohio, and I want to see it in the comments, or you come find me on my shit. Explain that to me.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, explain yourself to me, because there's no fucking way you're doing that unless you are one of them, and
Now,
that's disgusting.
now I will tell you this: when Donald Trump brought it up about these people eating dogs, which is fucking ridiculous.
Well, let's be honest. He's specific. It's Haitian immigrants, and let's back up real quick.
Yeah.
Haitian immigrants legally in the United States on work visas. And if you look at the history, they were requested by the city because they needed workers and they couldn't find local people. They were willing to come to Ohio. Haitians moving to Ohio.
But now,
Okay.
but here's the thing.
Mhm.
When Donald Trump said what he said, you have to understand where that came from. And I could tell by watching him. Donald Trump, that wasn't planned to be talked about. That wasn't something that was part of the strategy. Donald Trump was at a point where he was flailing. He didn't know what to do. And this is what happens when you get a narcissist. They grab for anything and everything. They'll burn every bridge, scorch every inch of earth, and they will pull out anything that they think can help them win the argument. And he just pulled that out. That was people on the sidelines that were Republicans are going, "Fuck, what's he doing?"
Oh,
And he just threw it out there, and then he started a fucking grass fire.
well, I mean, Rick Wilson was commenting. He said that he was texting with a major uh, television reporter. He goes, "You would know him. I say his name," and that came across at the same time. And the text from the reporter was, "Oh fuck, he just believed Laura Loomer." That was a quote from the text.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's not even a mistake. I mean, people can make mistakes in debates. We've seen it.
yeah.
The George Bush looking at his watch, I think it was one of them. Um, they, but if you make a mistake, you could back away from it. He's not backing away from it. He was in Arizona tripling down on it today.
Well,
The
Donald Trump
same
can't make
shit.
mistakes in his mind. He will always double and triple down. He will push it to the limit, even if he's been exposed that he's wrong. Like, for example, he says he won the debate, and 67 million people saw otherwise. So he doesn't care. He's going to try to gaslight
And
this. He won't admit he's wrong. But the one thing I want to mention, you brought it
mhm,
up before we went on. I first got notified of this by Old Soul. She texted me earlier in the day and she said that, you know, well, put it this way. When Donald Trump says shit about a judge or a judge's daughter or even
mhm.
these Haitian people eating animals, it has an impact that is far and wide. And
Yes.
Old Soul told me, she's the first one to send me the clip, that now in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio, there is bomb threats. There
Mhm.
are death
City
threats
Hall.
against Haitian people.
Mhm.
And,
Yep.
and 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 these dumb Trumplafucks are all over, and now it's all of a sudden dangerous for these Haitian folks in
I
Ohio. What Donald Trump said is directly putting at risk the lives and the safety of people in Springfield, Ohio,
and
just because he opened his fat orange mouth.
and then I mean, even when Governor DeWine of Ohio, who is a MAGA fuck,
Yeah,
says you gotta stop this, there's a problem. I mean, I understand MAGA cultists are lost people. I refer to them for years as the marching morons. I would recommend anyone to look up an old science fiction story by C.M. Cornbluth called The Marching Morons,
yeah.
which is about a society where very low intelligent people have basically the majority are run by but they're kind of kept at bay from each other from a hidden cadre of people who are smarter. But if you read the book and you read the story and you listen to how MAGA cultists speak, it's the same. They just move to this weird ass, crazy stuff, and they think the sad thing about it, those people think that they're saving America.
They do.
And that's a scary thought because that's where it's insane to watch
You know
the
what?
reaction to that.
You know what makes me worry is that I've talked about this before, and I get kind of emotional about it sometimes because
Mhm.
I get people coming to me just terrified about the prospect of Donald Trump becoming president of the United States, and they are truly upset and they are truly scared. We saw Kamala Harris having to console an older woman who was crying
But that was
because
a
she was
wonderful
upset.
video. I love her so
But
much.
here's the thing: as much as people on this side are upset and terrified, it's about the same for some folks on the Republican side. If Kamala Harris wins, they are going to be distraught. Now, I don't think we're going to see any kind of violence because they don't have the wherewithal anymore and they don't have the power to do it. But these people are going to be in desperate straits. We're going to get individuals doing crazy shit.
It's gonna be, I mean, it's Tommy Tuberville. I have to say that. Excuse me. Hold on. Sorry, I had to wash my mouth out. Sorry about that. Okay. Tommy Tuberville um, said that if Trump loses or there's going to be consequences. You know, it's the same line with these guys. I'm going to make this clear to you guys. To an extent, and this is going to sound kind of cruel, I kind of wish they will do it because that's going to be, and I'm going to use a term from Scrooge, decrease the surplus population. Because the first, there's a there's a comedian who has a great bit about um, MAGA and their threats with weapons. And he says, cool, okay, let's do this. Let's have day a year, we'll film it on Fox, and we'll have the NRA versus the Army. So he does this bit where they're out there and he talks to this guy. He goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm Bo Jax. Yeah, what are your weapon? I got an AR-15 and I'm armored to the tooth. All right, how do you think you're gonna do? We're gonna win." So he goes, now let's speak to the army. And he goes, and they go into this bunker, and there's one guy, it's a sergeant, And he goes, Sergeant, and you are? He goes, yeah, my name is Daryl Williams. I'm a sergeant. And so, what's your weapon of choice? A drone? And he goes, that's he goes, so what are you going to do? So you see all those guys, all clustered there, and are we can go? Okay, so I just push this button, and they're finished. There we go, game over. And that's the point. They don't get it. Um, but the reality is, you're talking about the terrified. If you're in the debate, and I caught this, and I hope we all caught it. He brought the David Murray asked the question: "You want to deport 10 million illegal immigrants? How are you going to do this?" And what was Trump's response? The Army, the National Guard, mere pressism. You want to use the Army and National Guard to forcibly remove people? He goes, and police. What are you going to go door to door? Yeah, we're going to go door to door and remove these people. Now, that's a fear of a lot of people, but I'll make this clear in this situation. They are not going to go willingly.
No.
And if you want to see a true civil war, because there are going to be units of the army, it's not going to do it. There's going to be units of National Guard not going to do it. There are going to be full fucking states like California will say, no, get the fuck out and mobilize troops. It would be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
That's a civil war. That's what would happen because no one's going to go willingly.
Right.
Honestly, think about this. He keeps talking about, I'm going to roll the military into Chicago. Really, dude? You really want to go into certain parts of Chicago or Los Angeles or Atlanta and thinking that you're going to roll out without that? That's insane. That's a fantasy
What I need to
that
say,
doesn't.
what I need to say here is, for the folks that might be worried about that, Donald Trump isn't going to win. He doesn't
No,
have a
he's not going
prayer
to
in
win.
hell.
He can't
He's
win.
now got a prayer in hell, and this stuff isn't going to happen. What I'm
And
concerned
that
about,
comes.
though, we
Go ahead,
we
sir. You were,
we
sir.
we, we once the election is over, for a while until we're kind of settled, we got to keep the foot on the gas when it comes to
Oh yeah.
Trumplophobes. We can't let them get away. We've got to
No.
eradicate them from the House and the Senate, and we've got to keep our thumbs on the people that are out there talking the shit. They aren't going
Right.
to do anything as a group, but they might do something individually.
Individual. Right now, it's going to be. Um, it's the debate is basically it's it's kind of like the end is coming. Again, there's nothing Trump can do to stop this. I
No.
know. I mean, the mass media is trying to protect him to an extent. I saw
Oh, of
there
course
was
they are.
that the New York Times especially had an article that said Trump lost the debate, but undecided voters still want details from Harris. Okay, let me make this all clear to you people. If you're an undecided voter, you are a Trump voter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
True.
are, I mean, I don't want to hear, because if you're trying to make excuses not to vote for Kamala Harris after what you saw with Trump, he was, as you said, he was exposed to 67 million people. He was exposed to who he was. And as some commentators have made it, and it's a good point, he also reminded all of us how bad it was when he was president for 4 years.
Right.
Everything we heard and saw was the same psychotic bullshit and the concept of a plan. That was as chilling as everything else. You have no plans.
Right.
You have nothing. And for those undecided voters that we need details for Kamala Harris, tells me you're not going to vote for her anyway. So shut the fuck up.
If you right now and you watch that debate, but you didn't even have to watch the debate, you just have to see all that's going on. If you are still an undecided voter, you were probably a Trump voter and trying to rationalize out a way to vote for him, but it's hard because he keeps fucking up. If you are a Trump voter or independent and you have not made your decision yet, I'm willing to say you're irredeemable. You can't be
Yeah.
taught anything. If you watch that debate and you didn't learn anything, I mean, I heard people saying, "Well, Kamala didn't win, but Donald Trump lost." Bullshit.
No,
Donald
she
Trump
won.
lost and she kicked ass. She did one of the best debates I've seen in political history.
I mean, historians like MSNBC has the presidential historian. He said that was the greatest. They they guys have seen debates for decades. Her performance was perfect. I'm sorry, that was perfect because it was the problem with Joe Biden. Not only is he sick, but he's a policy guy, and he's good at it. That's why we came back from what we did. We needed Joe Biden to
Right.
fix the machine. What we need now is basically then we put it in a kind of a weird sports way. F1 machines, those vehicles are extremely complex.
You're talking about
They are
racing
high
cars.
cars and race F1 uh, racing cars are extremely complex. They monitor every inch of it. Every inch means a difference. You need very good mechanics to put it together. So that was Joe Biden because we got a car that had been damaged, slammed into the wall, and we had to rebuild it up. And Joe Biden was the mechanic in there, and he thought he could drive it. He did okay, but he could not do the corners right. And then he got Kamala Harris, and he put her in the driver's seat, and she's the driver. She's the one that could take that machine and they'll tweak it and she's going to push it as fast as it can. She's the one can cut the corner. She's the one that knows the little intricacies to get the extra seconds to become a winner. That's the difference what we have now. Biden, we needed Biden to put the car together. Now we need Kamala Harris to push it to the metal, all the way to that, because she knows how to do it, and you can see it, you can feel it in the way she does it and talks. That I don't know, it's a weird analogy, but it fits in my mind what we're looking at right now.
It does. I want to do something I've never done before when I have a guest on. But you were talking about Donald Trump bringing up the abortion issue, and
Mhm.
it was interesting how he handled that. But I got an email here. I don't usually read emails when I'm
Sure,
doing it with a guest, but this kind of ties into what we're talking about. This comes from an emailer named Alley Cat. She says, "Hi." I'm saying she's pointing it to me, but I'm pointing it to you as well.
sure, sure.
Hi, Boomer. Please shed your infamous wisdom regarding this that Trump said during the debate. The question was about abortion. J.D. Vance said you would veto a national abortion ban. So would you? Trump responds, I didn't discuss this with J.D. in all fairness. Boomer, isn't it odd that he chose a VP and never discussed the hottest ticket item in the election while vetting him? He didn't discuss abortion with JD. What? I had to rewind that a couple of times to make sure I heard it right. Why did he say that? Why isn't anyone asking him that question? Curious as to your thoughts. Thanks, Allison in Vegas. And that's a good point. You
Yeah,
know, they kind of cornered him there. JD says, yeah, he would probably veto an abortion ban. But when Donald Trump was asked the question three times, he would not answer
yep,
that. And I know why he didn't answer it because he didn't want to say, no, I would not sign an abortion ban because he would lose all the moderates that he thinks he's gaining and isn't. But if he did say he was going to sign an abortion ban and appeal to those folks, then his whole base, the evangelicals, would tell him to fuck off. So he was caught in a corner there. But she
yep.
makes an interesting point. What JD and he have never talked about the biggest issue in the whole fucking campaign?
Yeah, so to Miss Aldicat, first part, why isn't the media talking about it? To use Laura Sedano's words, they wash it because they don't want to discuss it.
Right.
JD Vance, the reason he didn't speak to him about it is pretty basic. When JD Vance was selected as his VP candidate, it was done because Peter Thiel was going to help with money. It's a transactional dude. Transaction between Trump and the tech bureaus for money. And that was fine when you were running against Joe Biden. Remember, when the selection of JD Vance came down was before Biden left, decided not to run for president. So JD Vance was just going to be the eye candy
Right.
behind him. He doesn't he can't stand JD Vance. JD Vance makes him nervous. He's too good looking. I'll be honest. That's what it is. And so the reason he didn't discuss it
That's
was
why I don't
because,
have you on more.
oh
I don't
God,
need
Lord,
somebody
please,
better
no,
looking
Lord.
than me on this goddamn show.
No, it's compare
Everybody is.
also, yeah. But here's the thing. But yeah, that's he won't discuss because he doesn't talk to anyone about anything.
No.
He never relates anything. He does not take advice. All you got to listen to is all the bloody people who worked in his campaign, worked in his White House, who are against him. Olivia Troy, the generals. The point was the president is makes the final decision, but the president is supposed to take in information. We are used to a president from the West Wing,
Yeah.
Jake Bartlett, who listens to everyone and then makes the final decision
Right.
because he's the president, because he puts all this information together. Donald Trump is basically like we always know he's a little kid, he's ADHD, he's whatever, and whoever puts something shiny in front of him, it works. Or if he gets fixated on something, it's the right thing regardless.
Right.
And Kamala Harris made a good point about how that all it takes to get him to do anything is to be nice to him. That's why all the foreign leaders like the Putin and all that love him because they can manipulate him, which blew his gasket. And then he talked about Viktor Orban, but that was stupid. But that's the thing. There was this came out again because of his statement. There was a German diplomat who was in a meeting with Vladimir Putin. And sorry, he was in a meeting with Donald Trump. And Vladimir Putin walked into the room for this meeting. And his quote was, he acted like a 12-year-old fangirl.
Yeah.
And that's not the way you treat. I mean, that tells you everything right then and there. That's from another diplomat. And so to go back to what she said, everything is about him. And he knows enough to be a little snaky that if he said, "Yeah, I agree with JD Vance," that means JD Vance said something that he has to agree with, and that just, oh God, no. And two, it puts him off of the evangelicals, and he's screwed.
Right.
So he knew that part.
And what people have to understand is Donald Trump is doing all the wrong things, the opposite of what he's being told by his handlers. The way he handled that debate was the exact opposite of what he was supposed to do. He does have people giving him advice, but it's always been the case that Donald Trump, if he doesn't like the advice or it doesn't make sense to him, he just does whatever he wants. He pulls shit out of his ass and he does
Yep.
it. Now, people are acting like they're surprised by that. Think about this. This is
Right.
exactly what he did when he was on trial. He didn't even take the advice of his lawyers, and he got convicted. So this is patented uh,
And
classic Donnie Trump, and he'll get himself in trouble all the time because he's
and the
got
reason they're
lawyers
pissed
fooling
off
with him.
about the fact checking is that going back to what you just said about what happened in his court cases, when you're in a courtroom, that bullshit he tried to pull, that he pulled in the debate and the debate before, you can't pull that in a court of law.
No,
The law is straight facts. This is what you're going to do. And if you try to pull, and he tried to do some of that shit, and the judge told him, shut the fuck up.
yeah,
You tell your client to shut up. We don't play that here. And he got that's why he doesn't want to go back to court because he knows how that works. But what the fact checkers, but Muir did and Miss Lindsay did, is they called him on the obvious lies, which the CNN people did not do.
well, they had to
And
call him on the most obvious, ridiculous lies. They
yeah,
had to call him on that,
they
and
call.
I'm glad
eh,
they did. They didn't do a perfect job, but they did a better job than anything we've seen up to this point.
I mean, it shocked him. That I mean,
Oh,
you
it
thought
did. Pissed him off
Kamala
too.
Harris was it? Kamala Harris put him on the as soon as as David Muir said, "Sir, the city." His answer was pathetic. The city manager says to him, "Well, he's wrong because I saw it on TV." What? Okay, okay. I mean, sure, fine. I mean, as one person said, look, if this was a family dinner and Grandpa did that, Grandpa's had too much. Take his keys.
Yeah.
Go put Grandpa down. He needs some rest. And I mean, and we're old dudes. and we hope we don't get there. Oh my God, I mean, that scares me to death. To rant and rave about stuff. I hope it's not like that, but I mean, that's the thing. Again, the mass media is still protecting him.
Yeah.
I'm still hearing that he can come back from this. He needs to concentrate on something else. Concentrate on what? I saw his speech today, or the parts of it. God bless the Midas touch for watching that whole speech. But it was the same thing. It was a repeat of everything he said in the debate. It
Yeah.
was pathetic.
It's just all the same shit that he says. But that you make a good point. 4 months before the election, Joe Biden was perfectly cognizant, but he was slow. And
Right.
everybody said, well, that's the end of the election. We've lost now because Joe Biden was slow. Donald Trump has a worse performance in this debate. We're 52 days away, and they're going, God, he's still got a chance. And that's bullshit. That's
Well,
absolutely
also
bullshit.
but look at the two parties. And you and I spoke at the time way back when all that was coming down that they shouldn't do it because we were afraid there was going to be chaos.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to revamp some of this. That maybe Nancy Pelosi, who's known for being an excellent vote counter and knowing how things fly, saw that and just look, we need to talk to him about this because here's the situation. And I don't think they tried to force him out. I think they sat down with Joe Biden because they know Joe Biden is a smart man. And they said, Joe, this is what we have. And this is our concern. What do you think? And I think on that weekend, and when he started to see it, and they put out the polls, because I would now say that their polling probably was pretty good compared to Republican polling because they're going to be more precise. They're going to look for it. And then when he made that decision, but he made a deal with them that it's going to be Kamala Harris, and then it took off from there. Because they took a couple. I think when he announced Kamala Harris, they wanted to see the reaction,
Yeah.
and the reaction was so positive. Maybe that's what the hesitation was. Because if it was Lawrence O'Donnell again, everyone all hail the god of journalism known as Lawrence O'Donnell, because
Yeah.
that man is amazing. He did a his last show after the debate was about the 3 years of the mass media trying to do in Kamala Harris,
Right.
that she was a bad boss, she didn't know what she was doing, all that. But when she was announced, the upswell of yes stopped anyone in the Democratic Party and the leadership, told everyone, stop. This is the girl. This
Yeah.
is our girl. This is what's going to work. Because listen, because that was just those 24 hours, the upswell, the money that came automatically was right then and there. The Democratic Party said, okay, we ride this. Let her do what she wants. And maybe we were pissed off about it and think we did Joe Biden dirty, but maybe they did Joe Biden a favor and the rest of us a favor. Maybe it was more calculated because if you look at the Republican
It
now,
could be with Joe Biden involved.
and
He's a lot craftier than he's given credit for.
but look at the Republican response. The Republican response is, I don't know what you're talking about, or they're making excuses for him. Privately, as usually, privately saying in private, they don't want him around and they know they're fucked. And
Wh-
but they won't say it out loud because they have no go nuts.
Well, they have
Simple as
no
that.
B. They have no plan B. I tell you what, Will, we're going to take a quick break, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll be right back. I want to bring up something that Hakeem Jeffries said
Oh,
about that.
okay, cool. I haven't missed that one.
That should be interesting. So, stick around. We will be right back. We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. We have Will with us today, and we're talking about the debate. Everybody's talking about the debate. And I've got some things I want to get into that Hakeem Jeffries' comment made about the debate. But before I do that, I had somebody send me a note and says, geez, Mike, you're doing all these TikToks. You're doing a podcast every day. You should take some time off and rest because you're going to burn out. And what I will tell them is when I was working doing the traffic stuff,
Mhm.
I was doing 2-minute reports every 10 minutes, 7 hours a day for 27 years. I'm fucking good. I can do 1 hour podcast and 4 or 5 or 6 2-minute TikToks. I'm good. I'll be fine. I'm used to this. This is like running without weights on my legs right now. This isn't hard, especially when I have a guest like Will or Old Soul or Ed
Yeah.
or one of those folks. It makes it so much easier to do that. But what I wanted to bring up was regarding the debate. There was a comment made by Hakeem Jeffries,
Mhm.
the House Minority Leader, soon to be Speaker of the House. He said, "Should we have Donald Trump's should we have him take a cognitive test? I mean, because he was fumbling and stumbling around there. Is he even fit to be president of the United States?" And after the performance he had in that debate, that's a reasonable question. That is I mean, they had that question for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden did a better job than Donald Trump did this last debate. Now, Donald Trump will say, I took a cognitive test and I passed with flying colors. Only problem with that is it was given by the quack Ronnie Jackson, who's a liar. Secondly,
Mhm.
it was done in 2018. That was 6 years ago. A lot of shit can change in 6 years. So yes, he should take that cognitive test.
Um, he should,
He won't.
but it won't happen because I, they are. We talked about a moment. I mean, we know he's. I mean,
He's
psychologists
nuts.
have looking from afar already know that he has the symptoms of issues. That there's stuff going on in addition to his own psychological narcissism,
Well,
sociopathy.
he was mentally ill before anything with the malignant
Right.
narcissism, and now he's losing his cognitive abilities, so it's really going south.
Yeah. And so that's what makes him. It's weird because he appeals to the worst of us, and that's and he does. He appeals to the worst people because he hates who they hate, uh, and and he's he's simple enough for them. He sold him on this whatever image. I mean, he conned him. He's a great con man. He did a
Yeah.
good job, and he's riding
I
this to
wouldn't
the
say he's
end.
a great con man. He's a good con man for stupid people. He never conned me. He never conned you. He never
Oh
conned
no,
anybody with average or above intelligence. It's the stupid people that bought into his bullshit.
my wife who lived in New York in the '80s, she said I hated him from day one. I
Yeah.
knew what he was, but again, but he's also conned a lot of rich people. I mean, you saw his performance on against what was it Economy Club in New York. Those are supposed to be rich, smart people, and he couldn't answer a question about legislation for childcare.
Right.
I mean, it was all crap. And the whole thing about the debate, he was coached by, I believe, it was Loomer and Tulsi Gabbard, and his thing was to keep coming back to immigration, which Kamala Harris called out on, and no matter what answer he's going to say, he's going to come back to that again,
Right.
which he did. But that's their only. That's the thing they're running on right now is the absolute terror and fear of the brown person,
Yeah.
of the immigrant, of the person coming to take what is yours,
Right.
which is not true. None of it's true. Um, and some call. I mean, they've got nothing. I've been watching. I mean, here in Georgia, we're getting a lot of ads because they're considering Georgia their prize. They need not to. They can't lose it.
Right.
But most of these are just crappy ads with cut pieces about the economy, you know, and no plans. Everything's too expensive. And Donald Trump, it's just silly ads. Or an old soul was talking about, someone was talking about that ad. You got, I'm sorry, your email about that ad with the immigration,
Yeah.
that immigrant. I mean, yeah, I've seen that ad so many times. Ridiculous. It's just Willie Horton again.
You
It's
know,
just Willie Horton again.
I wish I was working for Kamala Harris and her advertising people. In my lifetime, I've written plenty of ads, TV and radio. I produced them. And I will tell you, probably the most effective ad that they could have right now is basically taking the premise from the debate. You don't need all the fancy editing. You don't need
Mhm.
all the bullshit. You don't need the cut-ins and the clips and stuff like that. All you need to do is have Kamala Harris sitting right here saying, "Listen, it's time we focus on the middle class and the people that need help. I'm the one that's going to do it. Donald Trump has
Mm.
said I'm not going to do. Let her speak with her. She's got compassion, and that is
Right.
very strong. And that showed in the debate. If she could just sit down in front of a camera, do 30 seconds of imploring these people, I'm here to help you, man.
Yeah.
You need
I
help.
mean,
We're
she
in trouble, and I can help you. That would be maybe, in my mind, the most effective ad you could do.
and her North Carolina speech was kind of reflected on that. But the only problem with which is true, but you still got to poke him. We still have to keep on top of him because here's there.
Well, yeah,
I made a
you have to
you
poke
have
them,
to
but
say,
what I would do is I would like say if you're running 10 ads, I or 5 ads or 6 ads, I
mhm.
would throw that one ad in the rotation. So you're
Oh,
poking
there's
them, poking them, poking them, and then hit them with that, and then poke them and poke them
some
and poke
ads
them
I've
and hit them
seen
with that.
have just focused on the middle class. Very there's just very little. There's a
But
basically showing.
the best seller is
Yeah,
her.
it's her.
She's the
It's
best
her.
salesman.
She's it's hard to describe and us being older to younger folk. I've
Yeah,
never seen a
but we're brilliant on top of
yeah, well,
that.
that's
So
true.
we're
Uh,
exceptions.
but that I've never seen anyone like her as a
No.
politician. There's always been I mean, politicians always seem to be either lawyers or well off or well to do. They, I mean, even Bill Clinton didn't come across as middle class. Hillary Clinton never came across as middle class. Um, she comes maybe because I remember her from California. She always was the sharp one.
Yeah.
You don't well, you never wanted her on your. You did not want Kamala Harris to have her eye on you because if it was a bad thing, she would get you. We
Yeah.
knew this. Um, and when she became senator from California, we've seen her performance. The far right has dismissed her because she's female and she's black, but there's just that makes her even more stronger. But when she talks to everybody, it's not, I am smarter than you, so I know what I can do. When I know what's best for you. It's, hey, I'm in a position and I've been where you're at. I'm in a position I can help you. What do you need?
Well,
That's a big
the
difference.
the thing about it is in all my life watching politicians, they've always appeared the same. They always appeared a little plastic, a little phony, and
Mhm.
the perception was you're here and they're there. They're
Exactly.
above you looking down on you.
Right.
And whether she feels that way or not, she has the ability to create that we're on the same level, that we're talking together. And so does Tim Walz. And
Oh God, yes.
we haven't seen that in politics. And I'll make a prediction for you. When they win handily in November, you're going to see every politician trying to take that tact. They're
Yeah.
going to try to do what they did because they're going to finally realize, hey, that fucking works. But I will tell you this: when I was selling, you'll appreciate this,
Mhm.
and this is why it won't work for most people. I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I sold them a lot of stuff, and my compatriot of mine said to me, "God, you sounded so genuine. How did you do that?" I go, "What do you mean? How did you sound so genuine?" I said, "Because I was being fucking genuine, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
It's not an
game. It
act.
wasn't a ploy."
It's not an act.
And that's why it works for them. It's real, it's
And
genuine, and people realize it.
you know you're in to the said I before I do what I did before, I did sell cars. Now that's a bad rep to begin with.
Yeah.
But I never did it in that vein. It was always, "How can I help you? What do you need?" And when I was moving on to my next job, the general manager came to me, he goes, "Where you," I told him what's going on. He goes, "Why are you doing?" "Well, I need a steady paycheck, bro. Sorry, this commission thing ain't working for the family."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, I wanted to keep you because," this is a quote, "I have never met a car salesman who's successful who was honest." Well, okay, I take that to my grave
Yeah.
with that one because I just was good with people. I did not try to fuck you. That's the thing. You don't want that. You want to be genuine. Hell, there was a one of the last cars I sold was in Georgia. There was this gay couple came into these two guys came in. They're gay. They came in to my office because no one would speak to them.
Wow.
They didn't want to sell to them, and they came in they came into my office and said, "Yeah, come on, let's see what we can do." I ended up selling a car to him, right? And
Yeah.
the best thing about it, we're talking, and his partner comes in. They're sitting in each other's lap. I mean, they're being loving to each other. I don't give a shit. Their money spends, and
I'm
I
here to
really don't
s
care.
I'm here to
They
sell
love
a
each
fucking
other. I'm cool
car.
with it.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, we couldn't get one. I got another, and I remember this to the day. There's such a great joke. It was they go, okay, so I got this car, but I apologize. This is a stick. Do you know how to drive a stick? And one of his partner looked at the other. He goes, "Oh yeah, I know how to handle a stick." And
Wow.
I said, "Oh my god!" And I
Wow.
laughed my ass off. But the point was that everyone in the dealership didn't want to mess with him because they didn't want to be tainted by him. I just looked at him, "Hey dudes, here's," and then to sign the contract, and I made money. The
Yeah.
point was that's the way you should treat everybody because that's what you get out of it. You get
Well
back what you put in.
and that's the thing about Kamala and Tim Walz. They appear genuine because they are genuine, and that is a rarity. You know, when you go on TikTok, they always say you got to have a niche. That is Kamala and Tim Walz's
Right.
niche. They're unusual. They're a novelty in the world of politics. You don't see people like them, and that's why people are drawn to them.
And the other thing is that it's not they're genuine. Not only are they genuine, they're fucking competent.
Yeah, very,
That's a I
very
mean,
smart.
because yeah, you know him. You know Tim Walz better, from my understanding.
Not a
He's
lot. I didn't know
extremely
much about him, but
well. I
I
mean,
knew he did a good
he's
job, but I didn't know
competent.
his personality. Yeah, yeah,
He's competent.
he's incredibly competent, and
And
so is Kamala.
I'm like, and that's the thing. The people who kept saying she's not qualified, dude. I'll be honest. The last few years, she is the most competent person that's going to be in the White House. I think we've seen ever.
Yeah,
Not even Barack Obama. Well, he wasn't in government that long. He was only a one-term senator.
yeah.
I mean, he didn't have that much. That's why you had Joe Biden to run and the mechanics behind him.
They said Hillary was the most qualified candidate for president, and I would say Kamala's even more so. She's been a
Yeah.
prosecutor, she's been an AG, she's been a senator,
I s-
she's been a vice president. What
I'm
more do
going
you
to
fucking need to be qualified?
I saw your video about Merrick Garland
Oh yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
Okay, so someone sent me a video of uh, about the DOJ is asking now for people if they feel they've been screwed out of their vote to contact the FBI and contact the DOJ. My first response to it, someone woke up Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland was the worst mistake that Joe Biden made.
He
He tried
is.
to do him. He tried to do him a solid, and he ended up with a dinosaur. He's gone. There's no way he sits in that seat
No.
in January. But I if if you gave that office to Hillary Clinton and set her loose, I'm sorry. I mean,
That
and
would be
with
hysterical. She's too
that
old
with
now, but that would be hysterical.
I mean, 2 years, honey, 2 years with no fucks to give. Go. I mean, because the thing about it, because you need someone that's going to go in there. Because the first thing she'll do is scare the piss out of everyone. Because
Yeah,
she's got an axe to grind,
right,
and she'll do it properly. Let me make this clear. Her ethics is too good not to. But to put the fear of God in these people, you start putting fear of God in people, they roll over on other people,
right,
and the
right.
shit would roll downhill. That's an extreme example, but we need someone in the AG's office that come January, we're going to start dealing with, because again, the only way we get a Trumpism, we have to inoculate ourselves, so we have to reset what we've lost. It's been a brutal 10 years.
Well, and there's a lot of possibilities for the AG. Ed would always tell you Amy Klobuchar, Jamie Raskin would be a great choice. Jack Smith might be a possibility. There's plenty of possibilities. You know, the thing about it is that what I said in that TikTok is that Merrick Garland comes out and is talking about his concerns regarding um, the threats against people in the DOJ and the judicial system, and he said, we're going to protect everybody, make everybody accountable, and we will not be politically controlled. And I said, that right there is a lie, because he waited 2 years to investigate and indict Donald Trump. We still have sitting members of Congress that were involved in the insurrection, and they have yet to be indicted. And him, in his attempt to try to not be political, has in fact been political.
Yeah,
And that's a
I mean,
problem. He failed.
and the biggest thing was the whole thing with the Joe Biden. They found a few papers in him. He turned them over and he puts a special prosecutor on him.
Yeah.
Fuck you. It was not. It's not the same, dude.
No.
You could have just said to the right to everyone, well, why you do it? Because it's not the same. President Biden turned all the documents over. He said, gave an excuse. There's no sense of a crime. Good night now. No, he does this he's because he this it's I yeah that pissed me off because there was no way in it. There was nothing in it. Oh, by the way, someone remind Donald Trump that he's not running against Joe Biden
Yeah.
because he came up again in the Arizona speech.
Yeah.
Someone just kind of, remind him that I mean, that's the one thing I like with when he brought up the Biden stuff about their administration. She just said, "I'm not Joe Biden, dude.
You know,
I'm not
there's
Joe Biden."
I've been getting a lot of DMs from people, and I wanted to get your take on it. I have my own take on it, but and I always tell the Democrats, be careful. Stop trying to take too much on. We got enough material. Just
Mm,
hammer that home and win that. But the DMs I'm getting is something that Donald Trump said in that debate. And he said, kind of flailing and kind of just pulling it out of his ass, I shut down the Nord Stream pipeline. Okay. Then somebody comes up with a video from the archives of Fox where he was talking to Sean Hannity, and Sean Hannity said, who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline? He says, I can't say that because I don't want to get anybody in America in trouble. So they take those two things and they decide that Donald Trump must have had something to do with it, that he just confessed, that we got to investigate. And I try to explain to people, maybe he did. Maybe he did, but here's the problem. Donald Trump says anything. Donald Trump is a pathological liar. Do we know he was lying to, whether he was lying to Hannity or in this situation or not at all? Let let let's not get into that shit. Let's
no,
focus on the stuff we know is true and is a fact, and hammer that
yeah,
home and win this fucking election.
yeah. I mean, Donald Trump lies about what he had for breakfast.
Yeah.
So the point being is the Congress, and I think is Jamie Raskin or Adam. No, the other guy that was Jamie. He was on with Midas Touch the other day. They're doing the Democrats are asking about the Egyptian payout.
That's
That's
worth
a
looking
fact.
into. Yeah,
That's
that's
a
a fact.
fact. That's a fact. And they're just doing now. They know it's not going to go anywhere, but I will guarantee you, if we get the right, once Trump is out of the office, we got the blue Congress, and we have the right AG. That's another problem that's going to pop up. If that is not, that will be looked at, that will be investigated, and he's going to probably end up getting charged with that because that is blatant. And that's that. I mean, and also, just on a side note, I want to see Jared Kushner dragged into a fucking the DOJ investigation because you don't get $2 billion fucking dollars from a foreign government and not tell me there was no connections. No, it doesn't work.
I think what's going to happen is after the election, we are going to see a lot of evidence about Donald Trump, about members of Congress, about
Mm.
Jared Kushner, about Ginny Thomas, about Clarence Thomas. There's going to be a Pandora's box open when that election isn't looming over us and Donald Trump is pretty much on the way down the toilet. We're going to see a lot of things. And that's why I say, even though the election's over, there's going to be
Mhm.
plenty of stuff to talk about because there's going to be fucking trial after trial after
Trial.
trial.
And the thing is, so we can't get overwhelmed. Just on the future thing, when that happens, I don't believe that Kamala Harris is going to overwhelm. She has a plan, and thinks she's going to stick with the economic plan, and then with the DOJ, let them handle that stuff. If that stuff percolates up, I've got this person to handle it. Congress is going to be concentrating on A, B, and C to make
Right.
sure that we're helping the middle class, because that's going to be the base for the midterms of that time to keep it going.
Right.
Because the problem, like when Trump made that comment, and someone said, "Well, this is what he should have concentrated on." Well, you've been here for 3.5 years. Why haven't you done all that stuff? Because 2 years they had blue Congress, they did a lot.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, these fuckers in Congress don't do shit except do some kind of weird ass hearings on everything that doesn't matter to us.
Yeah. They don't
Oh
get
yeah,
anything done.
and Mike Johnson pulled the budget bill off the floor because he was going to lose. Why? Because he doesn't have enough Republican votes. They want to do it. Good, do it. Just do it. Get it over with.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. See
You
how
know,
that works for y'all.
with Donald Trump and his trajectory here, there's milestone after milestone. We were waiting for the debate, so that happened. So,
Mhm.
what's the next hurdle that Donald Trump is going to trip over? At first, we thought it was going to be the sentencing on September 18th, but they pushed that out to November, and that doesn't really bother me. But September 26th,
Mhm.
that's going to be a red letter motherfucking day because that's opening arguments for Donald Trump's appeal to Letitia James' lawsuit for $450 million. You better win that appeal, or that's going to be a broke motherfucker, and
Oh,
he's
and
going
then
to be
also,
like
and
Rudy
that's
Giuliani, and they're going to start taking shit.
and also to top on that, and that same time, Judge Shutkin has said, "Hey, you need your response because the evidence that we're about to release, we're going to open up the Pandora's box of what Jack Smith has on you, and you have to respond to it." So he's going to have that on top of him.
That's
So
right.
he, yeah,
On that
mm,
same day, September 26th, Jack Smith is going to file his brief regarding the January 6th trial and his new indictment. And there's going to be more new evidence that
oh,
we haven't
exactly.
heard. And it's
And at that
coming a
point,
month and a half from the fucking election. So good luck with
and the
that.
thing about it, he can appeal all of it, but the evidence will be out.
Yeah.
Here we go again, and all his tap dancing again. Going back to the debate, what was the questions about January 6th? They were disgusting. I mean, he was defending January 6th, the insurrection again, same crap. Um, he's defending. I mean, he defended it. You can't defend that.
Well,
I mean, that's
think about all the evidence we know about January 6th. It's appalling. But there's
right.
more.
Oh, there's
There's
more,
fucking more.
and there's. I mean, a whole bunch of. I think there's unsealed people, or what do they call
Uh,
conspirators, whatever.
Unindicted conspirators
It's
or
scary, serious.
sealed indictments.
Yeah, and if I'm a members of Congress, I'd be going, I'd be nervous. That's the other thing. Once we get a lot of these MAGA fucks out of Congress, they're going to be open game. That's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a lot of stuff that'll have to be. It's going to be. I did a before we came on and did a video because I was thinking about stuff we were going to talk about tonight, as we're driving back, and I thought about Gettysburg in the Civil War.
Yeah,
And I've been saying for the last 10 years, we have been in a civil war. No, it's
pretty
not a
much.
weapon civil war. It's been a electoral, verbal civil war. There have been some actually physical people have lost their lives in this civil war. And I think the debate was kind of like the last, it wasn't Appomattox, but it was Gettysburg. He's now pushed back.
Yeah,
Trump cannot recover from this. I don't give a shit what
there's
everyone
not
says.
enough time, and
Y
doesn't
No,
have the
he
ability
can't.
to do it.
He can't recover from it, but we have to remember one thing about Gettysburg that, because 'cause I'm a big fan of the Ken Burns Civil War
Yeah,
documentary. It is a beautiful piece. It's it's more about America than it is about the war itself.
Yeah.
how it developed us. But his piece on Gettysburg after General George Meade, who was the head of the Army of Potomac, let um, Lee and the Army of Virginia slip out of Pennsylvania at night without chasing them. He did not engage them. He let them leave. Abraham Lincoln was incensed and he fired Meade for it.
Yeah.
Now, I was doing some research before I talked to you, and a lot of historians said that part of the problem was that everyone thought that if Meade thought if he attacked Lee, Lee could turn it on him and turn defeat into a victory.
Right.
The problem with a lot of those generals at the time was that they gave so much credence to Lee and who he was as a general. The only person who didn't was Ulysses S. Grant. And Grant, when he was finally given um, command of the Army of the Potomac, was at his first meeting with his generals and his staff, and he was just sitting there listening to them talk about Robert E. Lee.
Right.
They were talking about Lee's going to do this, Lee's going to do that, Lee's going to do this to us. And Grant, who won the Battle of Vicksburg by doing some weird ass shit, basically cutting off his supply line and coming behind the Confederates to take the guns, even
Right.
that was a risk he did, and he did it. Um, Looked at his staff and said, I don't want to hear what Lee is going to do to us. We are now going to figure out what we're going to do to Lee. Bring
Right.
me my maps. So my point is to this. We have been worried about for years and even now what Donald Trump's going to do to us. Is he going to do an insurrection? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? Well, Kamala Harris just exposed his ass, beat him down, and ran him in his corner. He's screaming and crying all that. We all know that's weak. The
Yeah.
only people supporting him are still his sycophants. And yeah, they're still strong and they're going to do some stuff. Remember, there was 2 more years of civil war that was brutal and nasty before we had to put it down. And that's what we're going to face for the next 54 days. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for the people in Springfield and Aurora that may take a hit for this. But what we need to do is take the words of Ulysses S. Grant and say, don't worry what Trump's going to do to us. Worry what we're going to do to Trump. Because
Right.
that's what Kamala Harris is doing. She is pushing that fight to the end.
Right.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get into a grapple at the end. It's going to be hard. It's going to be nasty. People are going to, like what happened in Missouri, they almost got them. They got that back. That's
Right.
going to cost them down there. Florida, DeSantis is doing that because he's desperate. He's desperate. They're all desperate. Texas is desperate. They know what's going on, and it's going to be brutal and nasty, and we have to stick to it. We got to have courage to stick to it
Well,
because it's going to be nasty.
the reason why Kamala won that debate more than anything is the same thing we have to acknowledge, and what you're saying there, for the remainder of this time leading up to the election. At no time was Kamala ever on the defense. She was
Nope.
always on the offense. Donald Trump was on the defense, and when you have a bully on the defense, he's fucking losing.
And she
And
wasn't afraid of getting hit.
no,
That's the problem. That's the problem with facing Trump. Everyone's afraid he's gonna get a hit. Yeah, he's gonna get one, but you don't stop. You keep moving forward and you press him because that scares him more than anything.
well, and and that's what she did. She just kept, and the more you are offensive and you go after him, the weaker he is at his shots, and that's
Right.
why, because she was on the offense, that's why he comes up with immigrants eating fucking
Right.
dogs, because he
And
had
and but
nothing else. He was out of ammunition.
it's going to be things like that, and it's going to get uglier. Trust
Oh
me, it's
yeah,
going to get uglier. Someone's going to do something. It's going to be. We have this. The election lawsuits are increasing.
yeah,
The RNC is spending all their money there instead of campaigning. There's Midas Touch, and I think I sent you a link to that video. Midas Touch did a thing with their two posters. These guys are different. They look at data in a different way. They don't take the polls as it is. They look at certain things, and especially enthusiasm and registered voters and how they vote. And they're seeing trends like 2022, but even bigger, even in Montana.
Yeah.
And he said that part of the thing is that what you're going to see in the next 60 days that's going to be tough on all of us, they are starting to hire Republican posters again.
Right.
Millions of dollars to take polls that gonna be skewed Republican, that's gonna change the overall polls. Because remember the 538s and all those that the mass media use are averages. And
Yeah.
remember before the 22 election, they were screaming red wave because they had an entire slew of these bullshit polls that
Right.
skews the medium.
Right.
And the mass media does not acknowledge that. But these guys said, hey, ignore that because he goes, I already know these people are in the win. They've already been hired. They're already starting these polls. You're going to see this shift because, but what we see, as long as no one gets discouraged about this bullshit, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, discouraged by them, we are on the right track for basically a landslide because their statistics are saying that if even with the election interference, even that if we keep doing what we're doing with the registration, and let's go ahead and also he threw in what was the last thing that happened on Tuesday that everyone that basically to me sealed the fate of Donald Trump. What was the endorsement?
Um,
The greatest childless cat lady in the world
Tiffany,
showed up.
yeah, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift showed up, and from the moment she showed up, registrations went up, and she put in the link, 380,000 that day. Donald Trump attacked her. A whole people attacked her. Elon Musk said some bullshit about she should have a baby with him. There's a response from Travis Kelsey. I'm going to turn you into a pretzel.
Yeah.
It's great. But when he did that, add another 400, another 300,000 to that.
Well, see
She
that
has.
that that
This
that
is good.
that's the thing that people don't consider when they hear the polls. The polls, as I've said, are bullshit. You point out the 2022 election
Mhm.
polls were way off there. Uh, I was listening to a video that Arlene Unfiltered did. She's been on the
Mhm.
show. She's a lovely woman, and
She's brilliant.
she's
God, she's
very
brilliant.
smart. I don't agree with everything she says, but she said something. I always tell her, I said, it's funny. Um, I'll say something and then I'll listen to you, and you back up what I said, but with data and eloquence as opposed to the
Mhm.
bullshit I say. And she said something all along. I've always said, okay, you can trust the polls, but what about fundraising? That's got to tell us a little bit more about people being engaged. And she said, people take polls and that's what people say, but fundraising is what people do. And
Right,
those actions are more valuable than what people say. Now,
right,
Kamala's raised 3 times as much as Donald Trump. She got 47 million in 24 hours after that debate. That stands for a lot. And then,
right.
like you say, Taylor Swift comes out, and we've got half a million people registering, and it ain't old guys like us, it's young people.
No,
And we know young people are the ones voting for Kamala Harris. So
and the thing about it's
that's got
like
to be
someone was
considered.
saying is that, well, who's he going to do? The 12-year-old crowd? Let me make this clear to all you dumbasses who don't know who Taylor Swift is. I remember Taylor Swift from close to 20 years ago when she was 15, 16, when
Yeah.
she was first hits. She's been around for a long time. There have been people who grew up on her music.
Yeah.
They're in their 30s, they're in their 40s. They introduce their young children to it. So this freaking stupid narrative that it doesn't mean anything, oh, it means a shitload of things. And when she signs that endorsement, Taylor Swift, childish cat lady, that tells you she knows what the F is going on.
Oh, she
And the
knows.
thing,
She
she,
knows. Yeah.
she knows. And the other thing too, Beyonce gave Kamala Harris freedom. She didn't even, and she said, "Here, yeah, can I use it? Sure, go." And that's a theme song.
Yeah.
But that's another person who has huge influence. And people say, "Well, they're just singers." Yeah, but it makes a difference because these Taylor Swift has already been seen on camera carrying. she's put herself out when her dad told her, "Don't do it." You know what's gonna do? Because he was thinking about the Dixie Chicks and what happened to them, and that was before MAGA. And he
Uh,
was afraid for him because she's afraid for her because those people, these we know they're crazy. And
and
that's what she was
I
scared
will
of.
tell you this: you want to talk about the really young kids that love Taylor
Mhm,
Swift?
mhm.
They, yes, they can't vote, but you got a lot of girl dads out there that will
Oh,
do
yeah.
anything for their daughter. And being a girl grandpa, all my granddaughter has to say, Grandpa, will you do this? Fuck, it's done. And so the impact that she has is so great. Yes, she's just an entertainer, but she's the most iconic, most successful, most powerful, richest entertainer we have today. That's
And
saying something.
yeah, and she doesn't, it's not in her money. She remembers where she came from.
Yeah,
She did her dues, and then whenever she shows up, she gives money to the areas. This is known facts.
yeah,
She pays her people in the six figures. This is how you treat your people. Unlike Donald Trump,
right.
whose only job is to I did a stitch with a gentleman who talked about someone who did a deal with Donald Trump when he's doing the casinos. And he took the job. He goes, "Should I take it?" And he said, "Dude, I wouldn't take it. I've heard bad things." He took the job. Trump stiffed him,
Yeah, of
obviously.
course, of
And then
course.
since he was a big contractor, he had other people to pay. It took him 3 years to get 1.6 million of the 8 million he was
Yeah,
owed.
yeah,
He had to take the money. He said the man took the money. He liquidated all his assets, sold all his property, took it to the bank, paid all his contractors, went home and blew his brains out.
yeah,
That is what Donald Trump's legacy is to America. That's why if you're a union member or a working man and voting Donald Trump, you are a fucking idiot in discussion. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a man who does not deal squarely with you.
no,
He does not steal. He conned us. He conned enough people in enough states. And those Bernie bro people, I will never forgive you because you had a feather up your ass and thought you were doing a thing. And then you pushed us in this 10 years of this.
yeah,
And we are tired and we exhausted. And now we are we are pissed. And I'm going to say this one. This is a fucking revolution now.
it
It is
is.
done. We are going to win this goddamn civil war that he started, that MAGA started. The Republicans have been playing the long game for 40 years, and we're going to win this thing. You know why? Because we have history on our side. And we're going to push this to the end. And we're not going to be like George Meade. We're going to follow him into the fucking hills and we're going to end this. We're
Yep.
going to end all of it. And I say this with confidence because in doing my research, I read the fucking Gettysburg Address again. And I'm going to read this part to everyone
Okay.
from Lincoln. And this is the last end of it. But in the larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hollow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it far beyond our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living, rather, excuse me, stupid computer. It is us backing up. It is us for the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which who have fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great risk remaining before us that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause from which they gave full measure of their devotion, and that we are highly resolved that these dead should not have died in vain, that this nation under God will have a new birth of freedom and the government of the people, by the people, for the people. shall not perish from this earth. So to every MAGA watching this, fuck you. We're going to win this war
It's funny.
because
I did a TikTok and I get people coming to me now. The MAGA fucks are really upset, and some of them will come to me and say, "You got TDS, you got Trump derangement syndrome. You should have that looked at." And I say, "You know what? I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I'm perfectly sound and perfectly sane. But what I am is I'm older, so I'm tired." And I'm getting my right leg cramping up. And you know why my right leg's cramping up? Because every day I got to come here and kick your fucking dumb ass. And you know what? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to let it cramp up and I'm going to put my foot in your ass and break it off if I fucking have to.
and so to a lot of people, when I get even in my DMs from my small little bunch of people that follow me, I get some people say, "Hey, you bring some hope or joy,
Yeah.
hope." Because, but if you feel that, I had not read that in a long time. I hadn't heard the Gettysburg Address in a long time,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's because
powerful.
it's powerful because that's who we are. That's what Kamala Harris has taken back from MAGA. MAGA has taken that and perverted it.
Right.
And but what we have done now is that because our nation is in a mess because of them. We kind of got it back a little bit. Now we can finish the job because if we don't, it will perish from the earth.
The
And
the
that's
the
what scares me to death.
the chaos and the destruction has caused us to forget who we are in this country.
Right.
And like you say, Kamala Harris is reminding us. And when you said rebirth, I kind of get that same feeling. I think when we come out the other
Mm.
side with the new administration, a new Congress, it is going to be like a rebirth. There's going to be a little more
Yeah.
sunshine. There's going to be a little more joy and
Right.
compassion out there. And it's time. I think everything cycles. You have really good times and really bad times, and after the bad times you have good times, and I think we're on the precipice of good times.
And that's the thing. Those aren't my words. That's Abraham Lincoln's words.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, it's not as bad as it was in the 1860s,
No.
where it was an open shooting war. But if you look at it, it's just as divided. And now we are at the precipice to rebuild what we had even better before Reagan, before all this, because Reagan led to Trump. Let's be
Absolutely.
honest. Reagan led
Absolutely.
to Trump. The destruction of the middle class led to Trump because people were desperate. Now we're focusing back on the middle class. That's the thing. Once you have the middle class strong again, this is going to happen. And also, if you look at it too, there's a parallel to the amount of racism and the extension of civil rights being abused at this point, and
Right.
now add in women's rights uh, and what's going on. I mean, we keep saying the abortion question. Let's be honest; it's reproductive rights and health issues
Yeah,
for
it's
women.
more than abortion because there are
Yeah,
women that have miscarriages and they need help, but they can't get help
it
because of
help.
this bullshit.
And there was one John McKinney, and everyone knows who this asshole is. He's one of the 2025 authors. He does those stupid little TikToks where he's eating a meal and says something like sarcastic or racist.
Yeah.
And so he had one right after the debate, and one goes, "Well, you know, tell me any of those women who are, bleeding out." And the stitch was from a woman who goes, "Right here," and she'd put
Right.
her
I
whole
saw that.
story out. And I'm like going, "That's sick." And I feel bad for the doctors because I know they want to help, but going to jail for life is kind of a toughie.
Yeah, that's kind of a
Uh,
tough choice to make.
and it's even worse. And like Ken Paxton out there wanting to get records from other suing for federal records. Good luck with that, dude. But we can end all that. It's going to be tough because once we win the federal, you're still going to have states like Arkansas, Texas, Alabama. It's going to be a tough road to hoe there. They're going to do their little mischief, but I'm hoping that people will finally wake up in those states and see they're not helping you.
No.
They
Well, if we
don't
can
care about
if
you.
we can codify Roe v. Wade or codify abortion rights nationally, then fuck the states. There's not much they can do about
Oh,
it.
I mean, they're gonna fight. I mean, I can see if that does get to that point, Texas wanting to succeed. Good luck.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. I mean, we don't need you. I mean, Florida. Because the point is, what are you going to do? You got to still. You're going to be a separate country.
Yeah.
Good luck. Oh, by the way, all that military equipment doesn't belong to you. It belongs to me.
Social
Uh,
Security stops,
yeah.
Medicare stops,
Um,
welfare stops,
uh,
all of it stops because you're
I
not
mean,
in the
and that's
country anymore.
yeah. It's an ignorant argument, and that's the thing. These people have decided that they're their own country. They're their own little countries.
They've
That
always
was
been like that, though. Texas has
yeah.
kind of always been like that.
But yeah, and right now, but you add the other states, it's like I said, the Civil War has been going on for 10 years now, and now it's time to end it. And we can end it. We
If
will
te-
end it.
if Texas wants to leave, that's cool. We'll just make Puerto Rico and DC states, and
Oh, they're going
we'll
to
be
be
fine.
DC.
We'll be
Puerto
fine.
it'll be nice. I mean, I just want to tell everyone again, that's what we're working for. We got a real boost, but we're not done.
No,
We
no.
are not done. And and what we have to remember, we're going to hear some seriously nasty shit, and we're going to hear some people go after us. We're going to see the mass media saying it's over, Trump has come back. It's all a bunch of shit. We know it because we got him on the run. And when you got him on the run, they're always going to lie about their position because they know it's bad.
And when you
It's
got them on
simple
a
as that.
run, don't let them go.
Don't let him go.
Run them down, and
We're,
finish it. That's
and
what
we're
we
going to
got to
run him.
do.
We got to run him into the ground and finish it because that's what we should do. So
Yeah,
we don't have another 10 years of terror or the end of the republic.
absolutely.
And that's then I mean, that's the parting thing I'd say. And again, if you need hope, read it. And I think it means that will put everything in perspective because we finally have a chance to finish this out. As simple as that. We just have to remember come November 5th, don't worry about Congress. They're going to do the stupid. They're going to talk their stupid, but we have warriors and they're already slapping them around like the little dummies they are. And a lot of them are on the run. Remember
Absolutely.
that. We're the
Absolutely.
majority. It's not going to change.
No, it's going to be fine. I kept telling people that for a long time, and I stand by that. We're going to wrap things up for the
Yep.
Rational Boomer podcast. Will, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it immensely.
No problem. Sorry for the shouting. Thank you. Appreciate you guys out there.
No, that's all
Again,
right.
you can find me at Binder38US on TikTok, same on YouTube. I'm close to 1,000. I just like to hit the 1,000 just for just for my ego. I won't lie.
Oh,
That way.
you want the thousand. Okay, let's just say this here. I don't know how many people are listening to the podcast right now. It's probably millions. No, it's not
It's
millions,
not.
but there's enough. How far are you from 1,000?
Last time I checked, give me a second. I think it's 9. Where are you? It is. I am at 923 according
Okay,
to this.
so you need 77. Se-
77.
77. Okay. We got the Rational Boomer podcast here. We got more than 77 people listening to the Rational Boomer podcast. You have fucking homework now. I want you to get on the fucking internet. If you're on TikTok, if you're not, there's not much you can do. But if you're on TikTok, go to TikTok and follow Will here at Binder38US. It's easy to find. He's out there. I want to see if we can't get him to 1,000 in the next 24 hours,
That'd be
because
fun.
and you were saying it's an ego thing to get to 1,000. No, motherfucker, you want to go live is what you want to do.
I don't even know what that means, to be honest.
Well,
What live means.
you can go on TikTok, hit live, and be on live on
Mm,
TikTok and taking questions from people and comments. Trust me, if even if you don't know what it is, once you find out, you'll want to fucking do it.
Okay, that'll be cool. But also, it's just watch because a lot of it's going to be helpful to you guys, and also, again, I will tell you, I am a fucking nerd, If you have a Star Trek question, any question that deals with science fiction or anything, I will take them and talk to you about it because I will tell you this politics is exhausting. I'd rather tell you about the difference between a Romulan and a Klingon for 15 hours. That's easy for me, you
Yeah,
guys.
I would have problems with that. So if you need that kind of shit, go check Will. But that's homework for the people listening to the Rational Boomer podcast, whether it be YouTube or on Spotify. I need 77 of you minimum in the next 24 hours to go follow him so he can get to 1,000. We keep talking about this being a community, a family, or whatever.
Mhm.
All right, it's time to man up or woman up
Hold
and
up.
get him to 1,000. Fucking do it.
Appreciate you, Mike. But you guys, like I said, keep the faith. We got this.
All right. Well, I want to thank all the folks that listen for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Ed is going to be tomorrow, so you should be
Hey, Ed.
looking forward to that. But thanks again, and we'll talk to you next time.